We wanted to do a closing message here by our CEO, Howard Lee. But real quick, I just wanted to say before he wraps it up here, how happy we are that you guys have tuned in and been engaged, asking a lot of really great questions of our team. This was the first annual SōRSE Summit, but this was our first virtual conference that we hosted ourselves. We felt that the content at a lot of the other virtual events was not as educational as it could be, and oftentimes a little bit too novice level for our clients who are definitely more experienced and already have a product in the space. So we were excited to produce something and answer questions that we've been getting along the way in the last year. And of course, I'm glad that you were able to meet a number of members of our team that are normally kind of behind the green curtain, if you will, behind the scenes doing production, members of our R&D team, members of our flavor from our product development team who have touched all of your products, but maybe you've only emailed them and talked to them on the phone. So I'm very glad that you guys tuned in and we had the opportunity to connect. Hopefully next year we can connect in person a little bit, but until then we'll continue producing events like this and other webinars and educational content as well. Please feel free to follow up with me directly. And with either feedback, there will be a survey as well that gets sent to you, but feel free to follow up with me directly at diana@sorsetech.com and let me know if there are any topics that you want to follow up on or have additional questions. We'll make sure that those get answered for you. I also want to thank my team. We had a lot of people work very hard to make this happen, and I thank them for making this the best place to work for. And on that note, I will pass it over to our CEO, Howard Lee.
We're going to change chairs.
We're switching out.
All right, we're going to switch out a little bit here. We're doing this a little bit on the cuff. I'm invading Diana's space. I did have a mask while we were doing this, so anyway. Hey, I do want to thank again all of you guys who invested time and effort in attending this virtual conference. I know some of you guys are probably working away while you're hearing about what we're talking about. But as important, we wanted to get together and get your questions. I think there's still more questions that we need to answer, right? And we'll get those questions answered out to you shortly. But I want to thank Ryan from Tempo, Mary Wagner, Patrick Gray, people who help us make this conference a little bit more interesting rather than just hear us talk all the time. And as you might have noticed, you didn't hear Scott or I talk very much. And what we wanted to do, again, as Diana said, is showcase the guys who are actually doing the work. Donna, Jerry, Michael, and the team, Diana as well, just so you know that there are people who actually do a lot of the work and should get noted, and you should see them and hear what they have to say. I think that's very important. A couple of people in the last couple of days have asked me, what do I think of what's going to happen November 3rd, which I don't even want to talk about. But I do want to say to you guys that, we are not just about THC, but there's a lot of political and regulations that are happening right now that I think are going to be clarified in 2021 and beyond. Just for you to know, and all the votes or all the surveys and polls and everything else, expect the next 5 states to legalize medical or recreational cannabis this November election. That will mean that over a third of the US population will be recreational legal in the states, in the US. I honestly think because the federal government and the state governments are all desperate for tax revenue, that they will legalize some form of THC. And so I think that you might have asked me a year ago even what I thought about the legalization federally of THC, and I thought maybe 10 years. I actually think that window now is less than 5. So for those of you who've asked, a couple of you have asked about that. The other thing is CBD, I think, will be either generally recognized as safe, or we will have self-affirmed GRAS status, or somebody will. And I think we'll be able to move forward. And I think that those are things that are going to be happening in the background in 2021. As you notice, and you might have heard Patrick Gray, I hope you did. If not, ask us for some of his comments that he and Mary Beth had yesterday. But the key thing about that is we're working with world-class people. Patrick, or I should say Dr. Gray, invented the hepatitis B vaccine. It helps over 2 million people a year. It's an amazing breakthrough. He also, by accident, in a cancer research study, found the compound that made Cialis, which is a multi-billion-dollar drug. So, we're working with world-class scientists, and as we work with these scientists and people like Mary Wagner with the, I got to make sure I get this name right, the Hemp and Cannabinoid Science Institute, we're working with world-class people to help you get through the regulations and the politics of what we have to get through, right? So those are all good things. So I'm not going to keep you too much longer. And I just want to thank you for attending, and thank you for your input, and thank you for being a customer.